Imagine finding out you can run faster than light or throw cars with your mind. But instead of fighting supervillains, you're just trying to survive the South London street. Today we're diving deep into Supacell Season 1, Episode 2, titled Tazer. Michael has officially returned from his terrifying trip to the future with a literal death date for his fiancée and a list of 4 names he has to track down. But the real star of today's breakdown is Tazer, who takes ghosting your enemies to a whole new supernatural level. We're breaking down the Tower Boys ambush, Rodney's cross-country speed test, and how Rap Man is changing the superhero genre for good. Grab your red bandanas. Let's get into it. All right, so here we are. Episode 2, Tazer. I do love how they give each of these characters their moment so we can kind of get to know a little bit about each of them. And so here we are, our resident gangbanger, Tazer, if you will. Before we get into that, on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as the momentum of this episode, how do you feel about, from 1 to 10, how this episode builds on the pilot episode's momentum?
Builds on the pilot. I don't know. I kind of think, honestly, like episode 2 could have been a better pilot than episode 1.
Okay. How so? That's fair. How so?
I don't know. Like I guess I'm the type of person that you don't necessarily have to build. I can just catch up. I can fill in the blanks, if you will. But I mean, I understand why you need to have in episode 1 to kind of lay the foundation. I do get that. I understand it. I am going to say that I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to say, however, that episode 2 was kind of like a 6. It was a 6 in terms of building on episode 1. There were like some funny moments that were not supposed to be funny to me, but they were funny. Like when Michael's girlfriend he reappears and she was running, but her head was stiff. That was hilarious to me.
That's fair. So we know that this show kind of dispels some of the classic superhero tropes, if you will. So my question is, do these superheroes feel like superheroes to you? Or do they feel like just regular people in immense stress?
Regular people, what?
In immense stress. So do they feel like superheroes, or do they just kind of feel like you're everyday people under a ton of stress?
Right now, they feel like everyday people under a lot of stress. And I think that's important, because we get to bond with them. We get to understand their story. We get to see where they have been, and get a glimpse into where they're going.
I like it. I like the ordinary with a flair, if you will, simply because it's like, okay, if I stumbled into telekinesis or superhuman strength, or being able to travel into the future for where I'm at in my life right now, how will I handle it? Simply, I'm an everyday person, and I've just been gifted, if you will, or cursed, depending on how you want to look at it, with these abilities. How would I handle it based on where I'm currently at in my life? And so I love the way in which they wrote this, and they got us to kind of know each of these characters, to kind of empathize with where they are in life, and basically understand why they make the decisions that they make, if you will. So we know that Michael who is that person who is able to see the future or travel, freeze time, all those types of things. Um, he's kind of charged with trying to get everybody together to prevent his fiance Dion from dying ultimately. So, if you were in Michael's shoes, would you have started with Tazer? And when I say started with Tazer, approaching him, would you have approached Tazer first, just knowing everything that you know, um, especially with how volatile Tazer is?
Wow. Wow. I am going to say yes, and here's why. Taser is the only person that he, as far as he knows, he has had direct contact with. He probably remembers Rodney, but he doesn't even have Rodney's number, right? And he knows exactly where Taser is located. He heard that he heard the news, so he knows exactly where Taser is located. Whereas with Rodney, Rodney could be located anywhere. You know what I'm saying? And so Taser is like the best person for him to contact first. I'm not gonna say the best person, but realistically, he's the best person for him to contact first. I probably wouldn't have gone through his stooges though, because like how are you going to explain that to his stooges? Even though the stooges knew that Taser had a power, that's just not something that you just come right out and say. So I would fault him for talking to his stooges, Tuesday and whatever the other one's name is.
Take me to your leader.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with the middleman, the henchman. Just take me to your leader. That's right. All right. So since this particular episode is titled Tazer, getting it a little bit more into that particular character. So whenever he comes into conflict with the 67 crew, I just cannot escape this 6-7 debacle. But anyway, when he comes into to contact with them, he uses his power of invisibility to basically ambush them. Do you think that he's driven more by survival, or is he addicted to this power that this invisibility gives him? So is it just a survival need, or is just more of a power trip for Tazer?
I'm not necessarily going to say it's a power trip. I think it's a tool that he plans on using to his advantage.
I'm trying to think, just looking at Tazer, his age, where he is, the types of things that he's gotten himself wrapped into. I would probably err a little bit more on the side of survival, but at the same time, it's just like this whole gang thing for me is just a crash out. I'm not here for it. I don't love it, but I can understand, I guess, why to some degree.
So this is why I would not say survival. He's living with his grandmother, and at least based on what I can see, he doesn't. He might have some wants that he can't have, but he has everything that he needs. Right? He's living with his grandmother. Even his friend lives with his mom. Right? And all they really have to do is just go out and get a job. They might not like the job that they have, but work. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody else, like Michael, work.
So just falling into the idiocracy of it all. Like you don't have to do this. This is a choice.
Right. But just because you said you wanted us to like explore this particular character, in his case, and even in the case of I can't the big lip dude with that thick accent,
Andre. Oh no, his one of his mates.
Him. It doesn't look like they have a man in the house, and it looks like they are looking for something camaraderie of some sort that they can't necessarily get at home, and they're discovering how to be men by being in the streets,
That's fair.
or at
I
least what they think to be a man.
I will say, when I started watching the show, I was not very invested. It was just like, what is this about? What is going on? And so I kind of went down the rabbit hole, so to speak. And so I love the fact that they gave each of the characters kind of their own episode, so you can kind of understand them a little bit better. Um, anyway, thought it was beautifully written, but trying to understand this young man at his age and having these super abilities and then being in the situation that he's in, like realistically, how would that be him? So again, I love the ordinary being gifted with the extraordinary, if you will. So on the thumbnail, I see a picture of Rodney. Speaking of Rodney, he has this ability of super speed, if you will. So with him, do we feel that Rodney, um, his reckless hustling is kind of funny, or he's more bound to get caught by the authorities immediately because of how reckless he is with his ability?
So yes, you're absolutely right. He is a funny character, everything about him, and but it's because he's so stupid. He's just so stupid. Um, but I think because of his speed, he is probably least likely to be caught by regular authorities. Now, in terms of these people that are watching them, that might be a different situation because I think his power is one that they would be used to. Um, so I don't necessarily think that from them he would be able to get away, but from regular authorities, I think that he would definitely get away from them. So and we kind of saw it. Someone was about to give him a ticket. He just ran and he stole the ticket. So you know,
To me, he's just literally a product of his environment, a victim of circumstance, and boom, now I have super speed. And so it's just like with him, I don't think he's quite realized how powerful he is. It's just, I'm trying to survive. This is what I know. This is what I'm doing. And he is, just to say exactly what you just said. He's stupid. He's stupid. He hadn't figured it out yet. He hadn't tied it in a bow and brought everything together just yet. And so again, this episode is Tazer, but we do delve into a little bit of the other characters throughout this episode. And so speaking of some of the other characters, we've mentioned Rodney, Andre, the dad who's trying to find redemption, if you will. Is he justified in using his ability, even though it's criminal? Is he justified in that?
so in what we saw, yes, he was justified because he did not know that he had that ability until he used his ability. And so if you see some money coming out of an ATM, you're gonna take the money out of the ATM. I don't care who you are. You're not just gonna walk away and be like, "Ooh, Lord, I'm scared. Money come out. Let me run." No, you're gonna pick that ish up and keep it moving. Like I think he was justified in that moment, given the circumstances. Given the circumstances, he was justified.
Because he was backed into a corner, and so he was trying to follow the straight and narrow, right? He had a job, and he's fired basically behind his criminal past and all of these things, even though even the boss told him how amazing he was at the job, all the things. And so I love the fact that they laid that piece out for us, because to me, that's reality. Okay, your past tends to haunt you, and so you're trying to follow the straight and narrow. We It's one of those situations to where when we talk about recidivism and we don't want people to go back to jail and become repeat offenders and all of these things, but you put them back into society and everything seems to be against them. You back them in a corner. What are you supposed to do? And so I do love the fact that they displayed the fact that he was trying to do the right thing, and it just kind of still blew up, because to me that's kind of where we live. in a lot of situations. And so, yeah. But anyway, I'm not gonna keep climbing up that hill. Um, so we have the five. But before we go on to further questions, as far as more realistic reactions to getting powers, who do you feel like had the most realistic reaction to getting the powers? And I'm going to specifically go to Sabrina and Rodney. We know Sabrina was kind of reluctant. Rodney was kind of all in, crashing out. Um, on those two characters specifically, who do you think had the most realistic reaction to getting powers?
I don't know. It's kind of tough. In Rodney's case, he didn't hurt anybody, so I understand why he was excited. For Sabrina, the first time that she knew that she had this power, she ended up hurting somebody. So I think still I would choose Rodney's reaction. Sabrina's reaction, the way in which it held over for so long, I think that was a bit unrealistic, considering the fact that I mean, yeah, she hurt old boy in the moment, um, but I think I would have quickly gotten over it considering what he had done to me. Okay, so
Lie, cheat, all the things.
mhm.
Um, for me, I feel like Sabrina was a more realistic reaction simply because she got afraid instantly. Like, whoa, simply because of her, she's in let's take her profession, right, into account. She's a nurse, a caregiver, kind of soft, to some degree docile. And so you have all this power at your fingertips that you don't even know about. And the minute that you become upset and lose control, you hurt someone and it frightens her. So I feel like to me, that was a little bit more of an authentic reaction for me. But
Can I just say something about all of their powers? If you really think about it, their powers are kind of like the opposite of the persona that they have. For instance, Tazer, he got elevated to the top spot. And so what is his power? Invisibility. Rodney is slow and stupid. What power did he? What power did he get? Super speed. Sabrina, she felt like she was going to be surpassed in her job. Like I forget what it was that she was saying, but basically what they were trying to say, her sister was trying to say, hey, you're black, you go to work every day, always on time, and you're always looked over, you're passed over. Well, guess what? Now she has the ability to not only be seen, but to move things around, right? To put things in the way that she wants things to be put. So that's her power. Now the toughest one for me is Michael. I'm sorry. Let me talk about Andre real quick. Andre had no control over anything else. He felt powerless. What ability does he now have? He has immense power, strength. Okay, he felt emasculated by his baby mama. I mean, he did. But Michael's ability is the toughest one for me because he has the ability to go to move forward in time, not just see premonitions, but to actually move forward in time, stop time, right? To move from one place to the next. Psychologically, I can't figure out like why he got that particular super ability.
And he just seems, the one of the five that kind of, to some degree, has it together.
Oh yes, most definitely.
Most and definitely. Just on paper, his resume, a good guy, just a good guy.
Yeah, yeah. Even when Sabrina's sister came on to him before he even knew he had powers, right? He was no, I got a girl. Like a lot of guys would have like fed into that. Like, okay, this is gonna be quick, one and done. Boom. He didn't do that. So morally, he's in the right place, right? You know what I'm saying? He follows the rules. He does everything the right way. He loves. He dotes on his fiance. You know what I'm saying? He's that type of person that everybody should want, right? Yeah.
Huge fan. All right, so bringing it back to Taser, just a bit. I know we're all into the cinematography when it comes to a lot of these shows, especially these types of shows. So, as far as the visuals, the visual effects, when it comes to that basically gang fight scene to where Taser makes himself invisible, um, what did you think of that? The visual effects and the choreography during that brutal knife scene um, during this episode.
The more I see the episode, the less excited I am about it. It first off, there were no close-ups. Everything was kind of pulled back, right? And so that kind of like, okay, I can't see anything. I don't know what the hell he's doing. I can assume he's stabbing these people. Well, clearly he's stabbing these people, but I didn't get to see it. I didn't get to see it from his point of view. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? None of those things were happening. So it was like tricks of the camera, really.
I think more than a cinematography standpoint or visuals or choreography, it was a shock value when he got backed into the corner, allowing himself to become invisible in front of all of these people. I think is what got me more than anything. And then just from a, I guess, logistical standpoint, becoming invisible, you are able to make your clothes invisible, not you just yourself. And so for me, that was a little piece that was kind of looming in my head just from just watching other shows and the things that I'm used to, even down to if we use the boys, right? Or I can't think of anything specific in the moment, but just having to take your clothes off to become invisible.
I mean,
Was
he
some,
could have taken his clothes off.
huh?
He could have taken his clothes off. I mean,
He could have, but he didn't have to. That's the thing.
he have to, but I mean, he could have.
But for me, I guess my mind harped on it just a little bit. Like, okay, so that's not a thing. You just make everything become invisible. Okay. So my mind kind of harped on that a little bit.
So clearly, whatever he touches turns invisible as well.
Which is a whole nother set of powers. So throughout the episode, we see people kind of watching cameras, and all of these things, and watching the different characters. Who do you think is hunting them, and what is their motive?
The white people, and they want their powers. I mean,
that's fair. That is a that is fair. The white people and they want their powers. And so rather than just the white people,
I'm sorry. Maybe I should say. I kind of thought about what I said, but I'm not gonna even say it's the government. I just think it's people who have a lot of money and who want to use these powers to their own personal benefit. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to clean up what I said earlier, and that's what I'm going to say. Okay?
All right. So again, this episode is about Taser. So I'm gonna go back to another question about Taser in particular. We have this teenager that is in London, in a gang, and he has all of this power. Do you think this is exactly how it will play out, or would he use his ability just to get out of the game altogether?
Now, if I were him, I mean, I probably would do something more like what Andre did, just in a different way. I would walk into a bank and I would steal money. That's what I would do.
Wait, say it again.
I would walk into a bank while invisible and steal money. I mean, why not? Who gonna stop you, boo?
Who gonna stop me? I love that.
I mean, does that not seem more reasonable? I mean, he's simply in this particular point, he's thinking about his current life, and he's not thinking about what his life could be.
This is true. Um, he's young. I guess I keep harping on the fact that he's young, and so what type of things would I be thinking about in my youth? Um, if I go back to one of my favorite shows, Pinky and the Brain. What we gonna do today, Brain? Try to take over the world. Just try to take over the world. World domination. And whatever that means in my youthful mind. Um, but I feel you on the let me get this money and get out of here. And really just leave London. Leave London behind. Like it's just too much going on. I'm not here for it. So let's just escape London altogether. Um, moving forward. Um, so we know that ultimately what Michael is trying to do is save his fiance um, from death. So if you were Michael, how would you even begin to pitch, hey, you have superpowers, come with me to save my girlfriend, to someone as aggressive as Taser? Like, how do you even start that conversation?
Um, Definitely not talk about my girlfriend because that's all about me, right? That doesn't hit something that Taser would care about. I would probably spend more time watching Taser to see number one what is Taser. Well, he got a sense of what Taser's abilities are, but perhaps to see who might be watching Taser and say, hey, look, like right when he notices that someone else is watching Taser, just be like, hey, these people are watching you. I have an ability just like you. Show them what the ability is. Let me take you away from here, and then talk about what all he knows.
So, with Taser, what do you think ultimately motivates him? Like, we know he's young, he's staying with his grandmother. Like, what
Trying to prove that he has more testosterone than everybody else around him. That's it. It's as simple as that. Yeah, it was. You could say it's a pissing match, but really, it's I'm the bigger man than you.
And I don't, so just from looking at this character, he doesn't strike me as a dummy. You know, he's not an imbecile. He's not without intellect. It's not that. And so, um, we know that our childhood oftentimes affects the way that we move in situations. But I'm with you as far as just it's a penis swinging contest, just to say, hey, I can do this and not seem weak, to the other gangs or whatnot. So that tracks for me. But at any rate, um, anything that we did not discuss about Taser in particular that warrants mention?
Um, well, in this particular episode, no, but he also has something else that he's dealing with. He's dealing with the fact that he believes that his mom left him, and so that is something that's weighing on him as well. So as far as he's concerned, he doesn't have a dad, he doesn't have a mom, he has a grandmother who he knows loves him. who will do whatever it is that she can. But the truth of it is she doesn't have a lot of power. And so for him, he needs to amass as much power as he possibly can to have some control over his life. And that's what he doesn't have right now.
All right. So before we get into an overall rating of episode 2 of Supacell Tazer, right now, just at face value, ignoring everything that you know that happens, because I know you've watched an entire series, who do you think arguably has the most power of the 5?
Ooh, that's kind of that's difficult. One could argue that Michael has the most power because he's able to stop time. He's able to move forward in time, and by moving forward in time, he has the ability to know what's going to happen before it happens. The unfortunate thing is that every time he knows what's going to happen, he's going to do something that's going to change their current reality. So everything changes, right? So that's a good and that's a bad. Sabrina, she has the ability to move things as well as herself. As far as we know, Andre only has super strength, and not to say that that's not good. I just I don't know what else he can do with that. I do believe that the flash forward, both Rodney and Tazer had additional abilities. Am I reading that right or wrong? I don't. Right now, I can't recall, but I want to say that in addition to speed, Rodney was able to like come out with like, I don't know, a lightning. No, wait a minute. One of them has the ability, some kind of, I want to say lightning, but not lightning. Maybe fire. One of them. I don't know. One of them. And I know Tazer has some other ability because he kept saying, now's the time, now's the time. There's something else that he can do, and I just don't remember what it is. So right now, I would say between Rodney and Tazer.
Between Rodney and Tazer having the most power?
Only because I can't remember what additional ability they have. But I think that Michael is a strong contender as well.
I think Michael has the largest burden, if anything. And so I'm not gonna call it a passive power, but you know, I'm a big fan of Charmed. Big fan of Charmed, and so premonitions and all of those things are oftentimes viewed as passive powers, and so I feel like he has the biggest burden. I think Sabrina, for me, is probably one of the most dangerous, simply because she's afraid of the power. And hey, telekinesis, shout out to Prue, one of the powers that interests me the most. You had something to add?
No.
No. All right. On a scale from Mayfair to 10, episode 2 entitled Tazer of Supacell.
I would give this episode a 6. I would give it a 6. And it's not that they're doing anything wrong. I think that what they did with episode 2 was they still wanted to build the world, the reality in which they live in. And the truth of it is that we are, from episode 1, we already understood the world in which they lived in. If they had like cut out half of episode 2 and went straight into the second half, then boom, would have got it. Boom, it would have been nothing but action. I think they spent too much time on Michael and Michael's story, and that might be because we need a resolution to everything, but that could have played itself out in later episodes, or they could have made episode 1 a little bit longer to kind of expand that, if you will.
I think this is not a Mayfair episode for me, but right around a 6 for me as well. Simply because while we had some climax, it was still anticlimactic for me, if you will, all at the same time. And I know that sounds weird, but there was a lot going on and nothing all at the same time, in a lot of ways. And so, not an awful episode, but for the episode being entitled Tazer, we still have to go back to the other characters and kind of flesh them out a bit. And so, whereas we have questions that we could develop about Tazer, things we could say about Tazer, this is still not just Tazer's episode. And so, there's that. Um, and so, again, not an awful episode, but probably landing around a 6 for me because there were a lot of pieces that just were kind of flat, if you will, for me. Again, overall, obviously, we both watched the entire show. Not a bad show. Loved it. Loved the concept, all the things. But yeah, episode 2 is landing around a 6 for me as well. All right. Any other final thoughts about episode 2, Tazer of Supacell?
Nope. All good.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for this installment of Supacell episode 2 entitled Tazer. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe and join us. We're still delving into Anne Rice's world on Wednesday, the Vampire Lestat. We are also doing Beyond the Gates every Sunday at 7. So join us, be our companion, and we'll see you soon.
We've got questions and we know you have answers, so make love to our senses in the comments. Drop them down below.